Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about manuscript 133, and specifically I'm going to be comparing the differences between performing it and fighting it. Okay, and when you look at people performing it, they're doing it in a choreographed manner, and it looks very clean, very neat. It looks just like the manuscript. And then when you look at people fighting it, it typically looks pretty different. Okay, and there's two reasons why it might look different. One, you may have two inexperienced people fighting it, so it'll look different for that reason. And a lot of times when you have inexperienced people fighting it, what you'll see is that they'll go through a lot of the guards. Okay, they'll go from one guard to the other guard. They're doing this out of range, and they're going through the guards because basically it doesn't require interaction from the other person. The other person can't stop them because they're out of range. And at some point they'll engage, and again, what you see is not what you expect. Okay, but that's because they're inexperienced. Now, when you look at experienced fighters, again, it doesn't look like it's supposed to look. And the reason is because they're both experienced. They've both studied 133, so they both know what the other person is trying to do, and they are actively trying to stop the other person from doing what that person wants to do. Okay, so that's the reason why, when you see experienced people doing 133, it often doesn't look like it's supposed to look like. Um, you know, Remember back when it was, if you go back 500-600 years ago when these manuscripts were written, it was a secret art back then. Okay, if you look at a number of the fencing masters from that time period, they have told us that it was a secret art. In many cases, they had sworn their students to secrecy. Okay, so it was not meant for everybody to know. Okay, so today we are all familiar with it. We all have an understanding of it. And so when you look at 133, when you look at experienced people fighting 133, you're not gonna see what you typically see when you look at choreographed 133. So what do you see? Well, you do see the core element there. The core element is trying to control the other person's blade, right? Trying to control their weapons and attack in a safe manner. So just to give you an example, and I have these two simulators here, these two sword simulators arranged so that you guys can see this clearly. Um, you know, Basically, I will typically almost never attack from this position because if I stand in this guard, this person expects me to do that, and if I do what they expect me to do, if I do what they expect me to do, I'm probably going to be very easily defeated. So I will typically hide my intention, by starting in a guard that presents point, either the long point, either the seventh guard or the sixth guard, okay, and I'm pretty much going to end up in the same place, okay, and I can start, from there I'm in a position where I can thrust through, if I control the blade, I can make my cuts, I can do all sorts of stuff here. But the point is, I'm trying to control the other person's weapons. Okay, in this position over here, just to give you an example, we see a play where the swords end up pointed down. We're advised to come in, control, grab wrap our arm around the other person's, the other person's sword and buckler, and then from there thrust through. Okay. Now here's a realistic situation. If I grab somebody's weapons, this person is probably going to start moving to that side because they know that there's a thrust about to come through on this side. Okay. So what can I do here? So basically, what I can do is I can pull from my other experiences from other areas of study that I've done and apply some of that to here. So if this person starts moving that way, so I can't get my point where I want it, well, I could try a false edge cut. Okay, so that's a possibility. What if they move too, way beyond? Well, I can just thrust over the back. Because keep in mind that this person who is now behind me, okay, probably has a dagger on them, and they're trying to pull their arms free. They may very well, they may very well let go of this weapon, which will allow their hands to slip out of my. Remember, I'm holding the buckler here, so I really don't have that firm of a grasp on their arm. So by simply letting go of one of the weapons, they will be able to pull their arm free and go for a dagger and stab me in the back. So from this position here, if I get myself in this position, I need to very quickly end this fight. Okay, so I probably don't want to grapple, because grappling is not a it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to end the fight. And again, this person behind me probably has access to a dagger, so I need to kill this person really fast. So I'm either going to kill him with a false edge cut this way, or I'm going to thrust over the back, over here. I mean, this does not look very historic. You've probably not seen this in any manual, but it will get the job done. And that's again the difference between, doing choreographed stuff and actually fighting. We use the stuff in the manuals to make us better fighters. Okay, and then we also have to be flexible. Okay, if you talk to anybody familiar with combat, they will tell you that no plan survives contact with the enemy. Okay, so that applies to sword fighting as well. We can go, think of the plays as a plan, okay, but the plan has to be flexible. Okay, we have to be ready and willing to adapt, and we're going to have to do a lot more adapting if our opponent knows our plan, okay, or if they're able to figure out our plan. It'd be one thing if we're using if we have access to this manuscript and nobody else had access to the manuscript, then there's a good chance that we can expect that our opponent may not be familiar with what we're going to do. But at this point, it's a safe bet. If you're doing 133, your opponent is also familiar with 133, and they're going to recognize what you're doing, and you're going to have to adapt very quickly. So there are my thoughts on that. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you are not a member of my channel, please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.